The Martinez family thought they were losing their minds when their 3-year-old Labrador mix, Buddy, began what could only be described as an all-out war against technology. It started on a seemingly ordinary Tuesday morning in March, when Lisa Martinez discovered their Wi-Fi router unplugged and lying on the kitchen floor, its antenna bent at an unnatural angle. "Carlos, did you move the router?" Lisa called to her husband, who was getting ready for work upstairs. The family of 4 had recently moved into their dream home in Phoenix, Arizona, a beautiful 2-story house in a quiet suburban neighborhood. After years of apartment living, they were finally settling into home ownership with their 2 children, Emma, age 12, and Jake, age 8. "No, why would I move it?" Carlos replied, jogging down the stairs while adjusting his tie. At 38, he worked as an IT specialist for a local tech company, which made the router incident even more perplexing. Maybe it fell, but the router wasn't just unplugged, it looked like it had been deliberately destroyed. The power cord was chewed through, though not in the typical way dogs usually gnaw on things. The bites were precise, almost surgical, targeting specific connection points. Buddy sat in the corner of the kitchen, his golden coat gleaming in the morning sunlight streaming through the window. His tail wagged slightly when Lisa looked at him, but his brown eyes held an intensity that made her pause. The dog had always been well behaved, never destructive or aggressive. They'd rescued him 2 years earlier from a local shelter, where he'd been described as gentle, intelligent, and perfectly house-trained. "Buddy, did you do this?" Lisa asked, holding up the damaged router. The dog's ears perked up, and he let out a low whine, almost as if he were trying to explain something she couldn't understand. Carlos examined the device more closely. "This is weird. It's like he knew exactly which parts to damage to completely disable it. Most dogs would just chew randomly, but this is targeted." They replaced the router that evening, setting it up on a higher shelf, where Buddy couldn't reach it. But the next morning brought a new mystery. The smart TV in the living room had been unplugged, and the power cord showed the same precise bite marks. The television itself was undamaged, but the cord was severed in 3 strategic locations. "This is getting expensive," Carlos muttered, examining the ruined cable. "We just bought that TV 6 months ago." Emma, their preteen daughter, had been particularly upset about the TV incident. She'd been in the middle of binge-watching her favorite series and had lost her progress. "Why is Buddy doing this? He's never been bad before." Jake, their youngest, was more philosophical about the situation. "Maybe he doesn't like technology. Some people don't like technology either." That evening, the family held what Carlos jokingly called a tech intervention with Buddy. They sat in the living room, surrounded by the evidence of his technological sabotage: the destroyed router, the severed TV cable, and now a phone charger that had met the same fate earlier that afternoon. "Buddy, we need to talk," Lisa said seriously, sitting cross-legged on the floor in front of their dog. Buddy approached cautiously, his tail low but still wagging slightly. When she reached out to pet him, he leaned into her touch, but continued to glance nervously around the room. Dr. Sarah Kim, their veterinarian, was equally puzzled when they brought Buddy in for a behavioral consultation the following week. The golden-coated mix sat calmly in the examination room, showing no signs of anxiety or aggression. "Has there been any change in his routine? New foods, new environment, anything stressful?" Dr. Kim asked while examining Buddy thoroughly. "We moved into our new house about 4 months ago," Lisa explained, "but he seemed to adjust well. He was fine until last week." Dr. Kim checked Buddy's teeth, eyes, and ears, finding nothing unusual. His blood work came back normal, and there were no signs of neurological issues that might explain the sudden behavioral change. "Sometimes dogs develop fixations," Dr. Kim explained. "It could be anxiety-related, or he might be responding to sounds or smells from the electronic devices that we can't detect. Dogs have incredibly sensitive hearing and can pick up high-frequency sounds from electronics that are inaudible to humans." She prescribed mild anxiety medication and suggested increasing Buddy's exercise routine to help burn off excess energy that might be contributing to the destructive behavior, but the medication didn't help. If anything, Buddy's campaign against their electronics intensified. Over the next 2 weeks, he systematically destroyed or disabled every plugged-in device he could reach: the coffee maker, the toaster, Emma's gaming console, Jake's tablet charger, and even Lisa's hairdryer. The family tried various solutions. They moved electronics to higher shelves, used bitter apple spray to deter chewing, and even considered crating Buddy during the day. Nothing worked. The dog seemed to possess an almost supernatural ability to reach and disable any electrical device in the house. It's like he's on a mission, Carlos observed one evening as he surveyed their latest casualty, the microwave, which Buddy had somehow managed to unplug despite it being positioned on a counter he shouldn't have been able to reach. The breaking point came on a Friday evening in late March. The family was settling in for movie night when every electronic device in the living room suddenly went silent. The TV, gaming console, sound system, and even the table lamps had all been unplugged. Buddy stood in the center of the room, panting heavily as if he'd been working hard. "That's it," Carlos declared. "We're calling it animal behavior. This has gone too far." Dr. Janet Morrison, a certified animal behaviorist with 20 years of experience, arrived at their home the following Monday. A tall woman with graying hair and kind eyes, she listened intently as the family described Buddy's increasingly destructive behavior. "Show me exactly what he's been doing," Dr. Morrison requested. As if on cue, Buddy immediately went to work. Under the behaviorist's watchful eye, he carefully unplugged the coffee maker, his mouth avoiding the hot surfaces while precisely targeting the electrical connection. His movements were deliberate, almost methodical. "This is extraordinary," Dr. Morrison murmured, taking notes. "I've never seen targeting behavior quite like this. He's not acting out of anxiety or aggression. This is purposeful." She spent several hours observing Buddy's interactions with various household items. The dog showed no interest in furniture, books, or battery-powered devices. Only items that were plugged into wall outlets triggered his destructive behavior. "Has anyone checked your home's electrical system recently?" Dr. Morrison asked suddenly. Carlos and Lisa exchanged glances. "We had a basic inspection when we bought the house, but nothing detailed." "Why?" "Some dogs can detect electrical irregularities before humans can. They might sense heat, unusual sounds, or even electromagnetic fields that indicate potential problems. Buddy might be trying to protect your family." The idea seemed far-fetched, but Carlos decided to call an electrician just to be safe. Mike Patterson, a licensed electrical contractor, arrived the next morning with his testing equipment and decades of experience. "Let's take a look at what you've got here," Mike said, opening his toolbox. He began with the outlets where Buddy had been most active, using a thermal imaging camera to check for hotspots and an electrical tester to measure current flow. Within an hour, Mike's expression had grown increasingly serious. "You folks need to see this," he said, pointing to the thermal camera's screen. The image showed bright red and orange spots throughout the house's electrical system, indicating dangerous levels of heat buildup. "Your wiring is original to the house. Installed in 1987, it's not up to current codes. And more importantly, it's deteriorating. These hotspots indicate areas where the insulation is breaking down. You're looking at a serious fire hazard." The Martinez family stood in shocked silence as Mike continued his explanation. "See this junction box in your kitchen? The temperature here is reading 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Normal operating temperature should be around 80. And this outlet in your living room where you had the TV plugged in, the wiring behind it is so hot it could ignite at any moment." Carlos felt his stomach drop. "How long before?" "Could be days, could be hours," Mike said grimly. "I'm actually surprised nothing has happened yet. The electrical load in modern homes is much higher than what this system was designed for. Every time you plug in a device, especially high-power ones like your microwave or TV, you're adding stress to an already overloaded system." As Mike continued his inspection, the family realized that Buddy had been targeting the most dangerous areas of their electrical system. Every device the dog had sabotaged was connected to wiring that showed critical temperature readings. "Your dog saved your lives," Mike said simply. "By disabling these devices, he's been preventing the electrical overload that would have caused a fire. Dogs can sense heat and electromagnetic fields that we can't detect." He knew something was wrong. The electrical repair work took 3 days and cost nearly $8,000. But it was money the Martinez family was grateful to spend. Mike completely rewired the house, bringing everything up to current safety codes and installing new circuit breakers and outlets, designed to handle modern electrical demands. During the repair process, Buddy's behavior changed dramatically. He no longer showed any interest in the electrical devices around the house. Instead, he seemed relaxed and content, returning to his usual gentle demeanor. The dog watched Mike work with curious interest, his tail wagging whenever the electrician spoke to him. "He knows we're fixing it," Mike observed. "Dogs are incredibly intuitive. He can probably sense that the electromagnetic fields are normalizing." On the final day of the electrical work, Mike made a discovery that sent chills through the family. While removing a section of old wiring from the kitchen wall, he found evidence of previous electrical fires that had been contained within the wall cavity. "These scorch marks are old, probably happened over the past few months," he explained. "Small fires that burned out on their own because they didn't have enough oxygen to spread. You were literally living on borrowed time. One more electrical surge, one more overloaded circuit, and your whole house could have gone up in flames." The family looked at Buddy with new appreciation and understanding. The dog had sensed the danger that human technology couldn't detect and had taken action to protect them in the only way he knew. How? Dr. Morrison returned to observe Buddy after the electrical work was completed. The dog showed no interest in the newly repaired electrical systems, confirming her theory that his behavior had been protective rather than destructive. "Buddy is what we call a sensory guardian," she explained. "Some dogs have an exceptional ability to detect environmental hazards. There are documented cases of dogs detecting gas leaks, structural problems, and yes, electrical issues before human instruments can identify them. Your dog has been trying to save your family for weeks." Emma and Jake, who had been frustrated with Buddy's behavior, now saw their pet as a hero. Emma created a photo album documenting Buddy's electrical interventions, titling it "How My Dog Saved Our Lives." Jake started telling everyone at school about their super dog who could detect dangers that humans couldn't see. Carlos, with his background in technology, was particularly fascinated by the incident. He researched canine sensory abilities and learned that dogs can detect electromagnetic fields, temperature variations, and even subtle changes in air pressure that might indicate electrical problems. "It makes perfect sense from a survival perspective," he told Lisa one evening as they watched Buddy playing peacefully in the backyard. In the wild, dogs would need to detect environmental dangers to protect their pack. Buddy was doing exactly what his instincts told him to do. The story of Buddy's electrical interventions spread throughout their Phoenix neighborhood and eventually reached local news media. The Martinez family was featured in a newspaper article about pet safety and the importance of regular electrical inspections in older homes. Mike Patterson, the electrician, started recommending that his clients pay attention to their pets' behavior around electrical systems. "Animals often know things we don't," he would tell homeowners. "If your dog or cat starts acting strangely around certain outlets or appliances, it might be worth having them checked." Dr. Kim incorporated Buddy's story into her veterinary practice, encouraging pet owners to consider environmental factors when their animals exhibited unusual behaviors. "Don't assume destructive behavior is always behavioral," she would advise. "Sometimes our pets are trying to tell us something important." Months later, the Martinez family established a routine of having their electrical system inspected annually, but they also learned to trust Buddy's instincts. The dog had earned his place as not just a beloved family member, but as their personal safety monitor. Buddy returned to his normal activities, playing fetch in the backyard, going on family walks, and curling up with the children while they did homework. But the family noticed that he remained slightly more alert around electrical devices, as if maintaining his vigilant watch over their safety. The incident strengthened the bond between the Martinez family and their rescued dog tremendously. They realized that Buddy's extraordinary intelligence and protective instincts went far beyond typical pet behavior patterns. He had literally saved their lives by following his natural ability to sense environmental danger that humans couldn't detect with modern technology. Today, Buddy continues to live very happily with the Martinez family in their newly rewired home. His story serves as a remarkable reminder that our four-legged companions often possess abilities and instincts that surpass human understanding, and that what appears to be destructive behavior might actually be an act of profound love and protection that could save lives. The family has learned to trust their pets' extraordinary intuition completely.